Hello and welcome back to Creative Portfolio Reviews with me, E.T. Eran Thomson, Creative Director here. I'm super excited to share another portfolio with you this time. It comes from Eric Rem. He's a copywriter, junior copywriter, just starting his career. So I love looking at junior books. There's always so much opportunity to help craft and mold the ideas and help these people along their way as they start their journey into the adventures of Adland. So this should be a fun one. If you're interested in sharing your own portfolio and getting some feedback, you can do that right here. Share your folio at eranthomson.com/reviews. I'd be glad to take a look. There's a whole backlog of people lining up to do this, so I'm really excited to see this kind of response from the community, and I'm thrilled that we get to connect this way. A couple of things I always like to share at the start. The first is that everything I say here comes from a place of respect and a deep desire to help you succeed, get the dream job or dream clients of your goals, of your dreams. And so if you want to know why I'm doing this, check the FAQ on that page, on the folio page on my website. Go into a whole explanation about why I'm doing this. And if you want to work with me, you can use the contact form on my website. I'd be glad to see and explore all the different ways we might be able to collaborate outside of just doing reviews. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to jump into Eric's portfolio. Okay, cool. Interesting. One thing I also just want to always say is that everything I share here is my opinion only, right? I highly encourage you and anyone who's working on their portfolio to get as many opinions as you can. Speak to as many creative professionals who have been in the game, who can share with you honest perspective, honest feedback. Remember that it's your portfolio. It's your chance to reflect your own passions, ideas, opinions about what is cool, what is smart, what is funny, what is interesting, what is successful communication, what is a great ad. So this is your time to shine, especially when you're a junior. You can kind of do anything you want. There's no rules, there's no restrictions, there's no client requiring you to use this logo or these colors or this anything, right? It's really an open field. And so with this in mind, when you're freed of all those constraints, sometimes that means the work should be better than anything that could possibly exist for that brand in the real world. Sometimes those precise strategies can really be liberating. I often like to say that the best creative briefs put you in a tiny, tiny little box that you have to find your way out of. And the reason why I say that is that when the creative brief and the strategy are super tight, super clear, and really locked you into a place, any ideas that you come up with, you know whether you've met that brief or not. If it's broad and you don't really know, and some people think the dream client is the one who will let you do anything, but if you're doing anything, how do you know if what you're doing is the right thing? So it's a weird time when you're a junior and you're starting out because you're kind of giving yourself your own brief. So one of the things that I would suggest to anyone who's kind of putting together their first portfolio is try and lock yourself into as small and tight and almost restrictive brief as you can, and be surprised and delighted by how you realize when you've cracked the right solution. Okay, so anyway, like I said, these are my opinions. Do with them what you will. This is first thought. So one of the things Eric shared with me, by the way, in his note, in his email, was that he's having a really hard time getting creative feedback, right? He's just finished portfolio school. He's out there trying to get meetings, hustling, trying to break in, and it's been impossible to get feedback. So that is part of the reason why I'm doing this. I'm super grateful that you found me. Hopefully you are as well on the other side of this review, and I've been added some value and given you some things to think about to make your portfolio work harder. Okay, so let's look at this thing, this first landing page here. Eric Rem writes, cool, I like that. That's also your domain, so I think that's smart. It says who you are and what you do. That's great. That, I think, is all we really need to see on this page. Retired classical musician, extrovert, gifted with social anxiety, queer content addict. Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this sharing this information is brave, and I do applaud it whenever people want to share their personality and their hobbies and their side hustles as part of their creative portfolio, because I think that adds depth to the work or to you as a character, as a person, and helps people decide if they feel like they will want to work with you and will get along with you and like you. And so in this instance, I feel like retired classical musician is not helping you, right? There's not a direct link to how that work helps you be better at the work you want to do now. And so I would save that for a bio page or your About Eric page. I don't feel like it belongs on this homepage. Extrovert, gifted with social anxiety. This to me is an interesting what is it? A military, it was like military, there's a word for when things don't make sense, like jumbo shrimp, military intelligence. And I'm blanking what that word is. Help me out, put it in the comments. But anyway, extrovert with gifted social anxiety feels like that. It's like they're opposite things. And more importantly, they potentially, to someone who's trying to decide if they want to work with you, this could be interpreted as someone who's difficult to work with or awkward to work with. And man, as you know already, trying to get feedback on your work, it's hard enough out there. So anything that you can remove from this page to make it, to not create question marks for people, I think will help you. So I would suggest removing retired classical musician. I would suggest removing extrovert, gifted with social anxiety, and queer content addict. This is confusing to me too. Are you a queer person who's addicted to all content, or are you a content addict who likes to watch queer content? That's vague, maybe funny, but I don't think it's relevant, right? I think people come to your portfolio because they want to see your work first and then decide if they like you second. So let's focus on the work. You've sort of done it by putting the work in big letters here, which is smart. But I think you can just get rid of all this copy up here. I just delete it. Whoops, not your logo, but get rid of all this and then go Eric Ream writes the work. Bam. Now I know that you know the most important thing is the work, right? Okay, so that's before we even get stuck in. Also the photo, I don't know if you need that here. Again, I like putting personality into the work, but I feel like if you want to talk about your past as a musician and being an extrovert and a queer content addict, put that on your About page, and then that's also where I can get a picture of you. And I think that makes sense, so that all I'm seeing when I get here is the work. Let's just go to this About page, because maybe there's a reason why you've separated these things. Let's get personal. Chess prodigy, cool. That tells me that you're strategic and clever. Traveled the country for competitions, avoided being a diva. Good. Mango Madness, Snapple, right. Shifted focus to classical music, studying drums, percussion, to cutthroat conservative. Okay, so this feels, for a writer, like it could be edited. Pull out the stuff that's going to be most interesting and make people want to talk to you. Because what you're trying to do right now is get people to talk to you, right? Get a meeting, get in the room. So I think the chess prodigy stuff is cool. And the fact that you're into other things is interesting, but maybe tighten this up. I don't feel like the joke about you eating lunch on an apple box, or maybe this is stage. I don't think that's relevant. You're putting together a portfolio. You're hustling meetings. It's clear to me that you're doing what it takes. So I think you can combine the bio stuff from the front page with this page and make it really tight, clean, and easy to get through quickly. Okay, let's get back to the work. So Eric also emailed me and told me that this PETA campaign is up for a one show. Oh, here, he's got it here. Yeah, one show award, which is awesome. I love the one show. In fact, the one show annual, there was a one show annual in a school library, and I stumbled across it, and I opened it up, and I remember thinking, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. And so for me, I have a special place in my heart for the one show. I've loved having work in the one show in the past. And if you're in a position where you think this early in your career you can get a pencil or get some publicity in that show, good for you. That's an awesome achievement. You should be proud of it. So let's look at what's going on here. PETA. Okay, that's weird. I've clicked on PETA to watch the work, but I can't see it. So I know you sent me a hidden link to it, and you refer it to here in your resume. Okay, cool. So you don't want to show people this work yet because it hasn't come out or it hasn't been voted on to see if you're going to win any medal for it. That makes sense to me, but maybe it's irrelevant at this stage. Like if you can't show it to me, maybe take it off, right? I know you're excited about it and hoping that it will win, but it's sort of disappointing to not be able to see it on your portfolio if I'm someone who's coming here specifically to look at your work. That's a TBD. I don't have a strong opinion about that. Okay, Zodiac. Watches. challenge, strategy. Yeah. Okay. So again, this is fine. There's not a ton of words here, but I also feel like, when I look at a print ad, right, or when I'm on Instagram, nobody explains to me what the challenge was or the strategy is. I just look at it and decide, do I like this, and does it make me want to take action or feel a certain way? So I often tell people to just get rid of this stuff. It's a controversial opinion, and it varies for every job. But if what you're doing here is selling a watch, I don't think I need to be explained what a watch is or what a watch does. But let's look at the work. Made for diving, for jumping into the unknown, but that mentality extends beyond the water. It means to live a passionate and adventurous life that has meaning to you. Okay, I get it. I think that could be wordsmithed a bit. Live head first. Okay, so it's kind of like, I think what you mean here is kind of like jumping in. And I guess jumping in when you're diving is head first, or actually hands first. But when you're jumping in as a metaphor for like jump into life, I feel like that's a leap in. It feels like a leap off with your feet. So I'm not quite sure head first works with the idea, but let's keep going. Telling your parents you like boys and girls, live head first. Selling your house for a home on wheels, live head first. At a movie premiere for your debut. Okay. Okay. So let me go through the rest of these. Instagram. Are they going to load again? Did I miss it? Okay. First day of school at age 82. Nice. At a casting for a clothing line you created. Cool. Maybe that should be fashion show, not casting. I don't know. I missed that one. Something to meet your birth parents. Cool. All right. At a home, dive in, jump into the unknown, live head first. Zodiac. Quitting the band to solo tour your passion project, live head first. Dropping out of school to start your own business, racing to the hospital. I can't read that one. Hosting a dinner party, can't read that one. Waking up at 4 a.m. to go fishing with your dad. Leaving everything behind to travel the world. Okay. All right, so here's what I think about these. Wait, what's this? An exchange program?
I can't believe this is happening. This is incredible.
What is?
I'm super grateful. Thank you.
Okay. Climate Change Initiative.
The major issue that we are facing right now. And one of the biggest challenges is how it will affect and change our oceans. That's why Zodiac is teaming up with NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
All right, one thing I would suggest with videos when you host them on your website is give viewers control. If I want to be able to skip through, turn the volume up, down, rewatch something because I didn't quite hear or I missed it the first time, I think that's really valuable and important. And whatever hosting you're using for your videos doesn't allow me to do that. It also means like I click on something and I don't know how long it is, right? Which creates tension and discomfort in your viewer, right? I click on a video. Am I here for 30 seconds? Am I here for 8 minutes, 10 minutes? Like, what am I into? So I feel like give me some control over what I'm watching and I will like you more for it. Okay, additional work. Okay, cool. So there's a lot of stuff here. And what I'm going to say is too much of it, right? You've got an idea, which is best captured in your print. And I think what I like about these is they don't look like watch ads. I think that's super cool, right? I always say when you're working on a project, look at the category, look at what everyone is doing. And as much as possible, if you can go completely the other way, that's where the that's where the win is, right? I recently did a campaign for an eyewear brand called Dresden. And if you look at the eyewear category, every single campaign is happy, smiley people with glasses on, jumping, leaping, looking like, you can swap every campaign for another, just change the logo. The caveat would be fashion brands, and they also look the same, right? Everyone voguing with their glasses on. There's very little different happening in that space, right? And so what we did with Dresden is the category norm is color photography, so we used black and white. The category norm is to show people wearing beautiful glasses, so we did photograph people not wearing glasses. That's the kind of thing that you're doing here. If you think about the watch category, every watch campaign kind of more or less looks the same, right? There's a few exceptions, and they've been great ones, but you know what I mean. And so you've bravely gone in a totally different direction with a unique look and feel, which I like. The problem is you've gone too far, right? What if I'm seeing this ad telling your parents you like boys and girls, live head first, Zodiac? I don't know what that is, right? You sort of give me a clue with the watch hands, but not enough to make me go, oh, Zodiac watches, right? Even if all you did was add the word watches, then at least I go, oh, it's a watch brand, and I like how they're talking to me, right? That's kind of interesting. But it doesn't quite, the live head first line to me doesn't work as hard as some of these headlines. And I'm wondering if like an idea like, what if it was like selling your house for a home on wheels, and you changed it to something like live your time your way, right? Spend your time your way. Life 1 minute at a time, how you want it. I don't know. Something that personalizes it, speaks to time, right? And gives me more of a clue that we're talking about a watch brand. And then I don't think these are hurt if you just put a picture of a watch in the corner. It doesn't have to be on a wrist, because we've seen that a million times. But this gives you an opportunity to put a whole bunch of different Zodiac watches in the campaign, and that will make it feel real. So I'm giving you some things to think about here, right? In terms of tightening up your tagline so it pays off your initial interesting idea more strongly, and making it quick or really immediate for anyone looking at these to go, this is a watch ad, right? The print ads and the Instagram ads are nice headlines. I like them. Everything else, everything that comes past this, I think you can get rid of, right? Dive in, jump into the unknown, live head first, Zodiac. I have no idea what this is if I see it on my way down the subway steps, right? I know Zodiac is a brand of whitewater rafts. They make rubber boats. This feels like an ad for them. So I think the decision to not have the watch face in here is hurting you, and you've gone too far into kind of zagging out of the category norms. So I'd invite you to consider that. All this other stuff, don't need it. We know it's not real. You don't need to try and make it look real. This is confusing. The social stuff, yeah, no. And the exchange program and the climate change initiative, look, I like that you've gone through the effort to create a video that helps explain in your mind what this campaign is, what it's about, and some of the things you could build around that. I think that's cool. And for a junior portfolio, I actually am going to say leave these in. Normally, I'd say yank them out, but you're trying to show people how you think and the breadth of thinking that you have as a young person trying to break into this business. And I think these two things potentially do that. So my gut feeling is keep the exchange program, keep climate change initiative, and keep the Instagram ads and keep the print, and get rid of everything else, including this, and then tighten up your payoff line, because I think live head first could maybe be. You could probably come up with a better, stronger line for that. Okay, now how do I get back to where I was? I guess I have to go back to the homepage. Okay, so that's Zodiac watches. Okay, let's look at Mont Blanc. Again, I love that you're making choices that aren't like hot sauce, condoms, all beer, like all the easy things that a lot of juniors choose when they're putting together a spec portfolio. You've chosen interesting brands and interesting things and challenged yourself. So I recognize that, and I think that's cool. Again, this is a made up brief. We know it's not real because you're a junior. So I don't know if you need it. Let's just show me awesome ads for pens. It's true, Mont Blanc pens. People do have a special relationship with them. I think that's an honest insight. To have and to hold. Yep, I get it. It's sort of like an heirloom thing. To my first love, I get that we forget things sometimes, like when you abandoned me in the bottom of the glove box for 9 days last month. Even still, I was thinking of you the entire time to have and hold. Mont Blanc. Okay. To my one and only, we have our flaws, like how hard it is to clean your hands after Wing Wednesday. They literally give out the moist towels for free, but despite getting barbecue sauce everywhere, you're perfect to me. To my treasured soulmate, I'll never stop loving you, even when you got that stupid Bluetooth keyboard for your iPad and didn't touch me for weeks. I knew you'd come back because we were meant to be together. Haven't told. All right. So I get the joke here, right? You're trying to write love letters from the pen to the owner, from the perspective of like, hey, I remember me. I was important to you. I am still important to you. Let's write some great things together, right? Which I think is kind of funny. But these feel like first sketches of this idea rather than a complete execution. There's a bunch of things I think you could polish up. From work with an art director, I think is the first note, like tighten these up, make them visually really, really strong and feel more real. And the reason for that is you're competing against people who come out of schools like Creative Circus, Portfolio Center, Miami Ad School. You know, anyone who goes to one of those programs is coming out, and you're competing with them. They're coming out with really polished, really nice looking portfolios. The days of getting a job in this industry with sketches in black and white sketches on a napkin or A4 paper, that doesn't happen anymore. So craft counts, even for writers. So I would urge you to find someone that you can collaborate with to really tighten up the layout of these, or teach yourself some skills to get them better. The second is, some examples of what I'm talking about specifically are the typography. It should feel like handwriting. It doesn't. It's a font. The Mont Blanc logo and URL are like jammed down in the corner. There's no space. There's no white space around the page. It just feels very, very fake, and I think you could make that stronger. I also think they could be shorter, right? You know, people don't have time to read. You're asking me a lot to kind of flip, if I'm flipping through a magazine, to read this whole thing, right? So, and where is the pen? Like, I appreciate that you didn't show it, especially based on my previous feedback about the kind of watch thing. But now I'm starting to see this as a trend for you, right? 2 out of 2 campaigns, you're not showing the product. I feel like in this instance, the pen laying across the bottom here helps sell the story that the pen wrote it, right? Third thing is, I think to have and to hold is a tagline, not what the pen says to you, right? So you write the note from the pen, and then it goes Mont Blanc, to have and to hold. Separate those two things. This suddenly gets a bit stronger. Now, does that to have and to hold line pay off your idea? It doesn't really. So again, a bit of a disconnect between your idea, which is, wouldn't it be funny if pens had personality and wrote to owners who had abandoned them and reminded them that they once were in love and had a special relationship and that they can again? That's a cool, interesting space to play. But the execution here feels a little bit first thought. So I think that's kind of a lot to digest there, but I think it's important. And then you're kind of, I like that you're going, hey, look, I can do an ad and it can be out of home. Hey, look, I can do an ad, I can do a billboard. And that's fine. But really, it's about the ideas, right? And if this is the idea, then you really got to, I would spend more time on the idea and less time trying to show me all the different ways you can put a not quite thoroughly thought through idea in a outdoor ad or on a billboard. They say money can't buy you love. We beg to differ. Okay, at least here you've got the hierarchy right? Which is message, product, tagline, logo. Boom, 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 boom. That feels like an ad. But you've also broken the code of the idea, right? The idea is your pen's writing notes to you. This is Mont Blanc now telling us something, not the pen, right? So that's a bit confusing. Traffic sucks, finding the one doesn't have to. This to me is a better ad for a dating site. Like, I don't think anyone thinks of their pen as the one, even pen fanatics. I could be wrong here. But I mean, I do have a pen that I love very much. So I don't know. I would say though that this feels so far removed from writing and storytelling, and that maybe there's a better idea here. You'll have to wait for the bus. Don't wait for true love. Again, it's confusing. I think another way through this might be something about the value and of the value and craft and love that goes into a handwritten note. Like, we all send emails and texts now, right? Do you remember the last time you got a letter or a handwritten note from anyone? This to me feels like fertile territory, right? If you want to make an impact on someone, right, whether it's by saying thank you for having doing an interview, thank you for reviewing my portfolio, or just how are you, right? If you send someone a handwritten note, that comes with a new level of gravitas and power that just doesn't exist in the world anymore. So to me, that feels like a much more fertile territory to dance around and explore. Use the best pen for the best moments, the best pen for the best, for the most important messages of your life. Will you marry me? Or I don't know, you're only going to write that with a good pen. So I don't know, I'm dancing around, but I feel like I would just want to give you as many things to play with and explore as I can here. Tinder, even if it doesn't work out, I promise not to fuck up your car, just your shirt pocket. Okay, yeah, that's not good. You don't want to remind people of the negative things about a product when you're trying to sell a product, right? Everybody who's ever had an ink pen explode in their pocket is very reluctant to buy another, and you don't want to be reminding people of that. So this is you got to cut that one out. I will never hurt you except maybe hand cramps. Again, same thing. Don't remind me that writing by hand is painful. Yeah, again, here reminding me that this pen's going to run out of ink. So these Tinder ones don't work at all. And you don't need them, right? All you need is 3 great ads, right? Make 3 awesome ads and stop. And people will be like, okay, he knows what a good ad is. That's all we need to see. So again, I don't think you need this Instagram stuff. I know everybody wants to see social, and that's why you're showing it. Fine, I'm going to give you this one. But the most interesting thing so far to me, possibly, that I've seen is right here. My grandfather gave me his Mont Blanc on the day of my graduation. Next month, I'm doing the same for my grandson. This is on brand for Mont Blanc. This is what people who invest in a $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 pen, you're speaking to them now, right? It's like the Philippe Patek watch brand. You don't buy it for the line is something like, you don't buy it for yourself, you buy it for the next generation, right? They're talking about in that one line, they're talking about quality, craftsmanship, price, heirloom quality, that it's an heirloom piece that you're going to have forever and love and cherish forever, not just you, but your children and your grandchildren, right? This is interesting. So I feel like this is another potential territory to consider if you want to start over with this campaign. You've touched on something there. An LGBTQ youth outreach campaign for pens? This feels like a disconnect.
At the center of it is our LGBTQ youth. They're feeling more isolated than ever. And growing up in a world with social media has had a big part to play. So there's no surprise to see Gen Z feeling social media in droves. While that may help, we don't think it's enough. People need connection, to feel love and compassion. That's why we're teaming up with Trevor Project.
Who?
They made mental health and suicide among LGBTQ youth their top priority. We'll be connecting young people with each other from around.
Okay, I don't know what this is. You haven't introduced Mont Blanc. You haven't said anything about writing. This is the first image that has anything to do with pen and paper, and it's a pencil. I don't know if this is this part of the Mont Blanc campaign. Well, I don't know what this is.
Pen pals with handwritten letters, a chance to sign off from the noise of the digital world. A letter isn't something that gets lost on a device or buried in an inbox. It means something special.
Yes, this is what I was saying. I think you've missed an opportunity. If you hone in on that little unique truth, right? Handwritten letters are special, loved, cherished, and important and valuable. And if you're going to write one, write one with a good pen. That feels like fertile territory to me, and you're in it here.
I'm making just for you. It's something you can touch, feel, and treasure forever. Because everyone deserves to feel love and connection.
Okay, this is too long, and the intro is, you're missing the opportunity to hook me in the intro, but it's cool. I don't think it needs to be LGBTQ, right? Everybody loves that stuff. I appreciate that you may have a bias towards that community, and that's fine. I don't mean to neglect them. I'm just saying it's what you've described isn't unique to them. So potentially it could be more wide-reaching. As I say that, here's the expanded outreach program. Okay. Product release. Pride pen. Okay, that's nice. Yep. Ooh, I like it. Okay, cool. So look, I've been a bit harsh here, I think, but I want you to do something awesome here. And you've got the nuggets of a bunch of different things that are cool, whether that's the funny thing, which I think I like a lot, which is a pen reminding you that I'm important, I'm valuable, I can help you write things that will impact others and the world. That's pretty neat. I think the hierarchy of information here, like I said, is not quite right. But you're clearly thinking about a lot of different things. And as a creative director who's looking to hire juniors, I do like being able to see that. And I don't expect you to have it perfect, but you've asked me for opinions on how you can make your book better, and that's what I'm trying to give you here. I think there's a bunch of things you could explore here that might lead you to even better and fewer things to put in your book. Okay, let's get back to the homepage. What's left? Raid. This should be fun. Raid feels like an easy one, right? It's in the hot sauce and condom and beer category. But I hope these are good. Okay. Again, don't make me read all this stuff. It's better to be feared than loved. One cannot be both. I don't know what this is here, this black tile. Are you trying to explain your idea to me, or do you think this is an ad? Either way, I'd get rid of it. Print. Feared for a reason. So this is cave art ants who are afraid of a raid can tiger. Okay. Feared for a reason. Is it like an Energizer battery? Oh, the logo's flipped. Raid can chariot. Chasing locusts, I guess. Aztec, Mayan, Incan. War, feared for a reason. Okay. Fire and brimstone, shake wall, then unleash the wrath of God. Go biblical on their thoraxes. Banish them from your holy kingdom. Anything, any chance to put Jack Nicholson in your thing, I celebrate. Okay, so I have some ideas about this. First of all, once again, I think there's too much stuff. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to put this here. These, for me, I'm sorry, they don't work. But you've got a great line, and you're a writer, right? So I'm going to dig deep on feared for a reason, because I think that is powerful, right? It's raid. We all know what raid is. We all know what raid does. And when you put feared for a reason next to that logo, we're like, yeah, this shit works. Bugs fucking hate it, right? So that is a hard-working line, and it opens up all kinds of interesting creative possibilities that should and could involve humans who have bug problems, right? Or have cockroach problems or ant problems, right? Not ant. I don't care if ants, like in the old days, fought off a raid tiger. That's not a thing. So I feel like you've missed the chance to include the customer in this, right? And make them the thing that's feared for a reason. So my first thought of how I think you could turn this great line and insight into a really, really nice campaign is just have beautiful photography of people who look unscary, right? Small, diminutive people, innocent looking, cute little girl. Do you know what I mean? Like people who don't, like the polar opposite of like the biker guy with tats and the leather jacket, whatever 180 degrees from that is. Photograph people who do not look scary. They look like the most innocent people, a grandma, a young girl, you know, whatever it is. But the thing is, when you photograph them, they're holding a can of Raid, right? Maybe you can just barely see that they've got the can. Like you only just see the little bit of it poking up, you know, in their hand, you know, like this, and it's just them going, feared for a reason, and you realize it's because they have Raid. That to me, killer campaign, right? So, and I wouldn't have got there without your great line. So I think explore it, right? Keep digging, right? Don't go with your first thought. This stuff, this sort of biblical thing, like I get it, I get it, but it's not as good as where I think you can go with the first idea up here, right? And I'll come back to the radio in a second. Also, just the religious stuff in general, I say to stay away from it, right? There's nothing more polarizing than religion and politics, especially in today's society. And I don't feel like leaning into religion to sell bug spray is worth the effort and the energy. That's my 2 cents on that. This stuff is kind of funny. I mean, I feel like, again, with a slight tweak, it could go from what it is now to great, which is what if you could have this scene, but Jack's not in it? What if you could have this scene, but the alien's not in it, right? Like, because Raid was there. Because Raid was there, that door never got broken. Because Raid was there, the spaceship never got blown up. Do you know what I mean? Very hard to produce in a spec portfolio, which may explain why you've done it this way. Also, I don't think we should be encouraging the use of spraying chemicals in people's faces. Maybe the alien is okay. Yeah, anybody would want to use whatever they could to get rid of that thing. But yeah, these feel like incomplete, and the best version of it is going to be too hard for you to probably produce for your folio. So I think you could probably take them out. Okay, and that's it. So you basically got 4 campaigns, right? And one of them you can't show me because it's an award contention. So I think that there's a bit of work to do. Hopefully some of the tips and suggestions and ideas and opinions that I've given you here will help you dial this work up and make it even stronger. I would then encourage you to add to it, right? I think inside each of these tiles, behind them, when I click through, you've got a lot of stuff, and in every instance, there's too much of it. So less is more. Show me more great things. Anything that's not great, take it out. And then do more stuff, right? I would love to see 6 tiles here, or maybe even 8, that show a breadth of creativity, thinking, and ideas. So I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about this particular portfolio. I really, really enjoyed looking at it. I'm excited for you to to see where you go on your journey as you continue to evolve your craft as a creative professional. Anyone watching who wants to share your portfolio, you can do that right over here at eranthomson.com/reviews. And until next time, thanks everybody for hanging out, and don't forget to send me your portfolios.